As a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I find former members of the church ironically validating for my testimony. Here are 3 examples.
Did you ever have testimony before you left? Yes. I served a whole freaking mission. I was in the church for 26 years. I had a testimony.
I did everything read on paper because it was everything to me. I loved it. I 100% had a testimony of the church.
And for anyone who ever says I never had a testimony to begin with, I know that there's nothing I can say to change your mind about that.
What is a testimony exactly? Now, if we go to our own website and we search testimony, it gives us a definition: a spiritual witness given by the Holy Ghost. This is no doubt the same definition that these former members of the church have been familiar with growing up. Now, despite leaving the church, it makes me happy that they still didn't deny that they had a witness from the Holy Ghost, that the gospel is true. They still say, yes, I had a testimony. So why would they leave if they received a witness from God that the gospel of Jesus Christ is true? Well, that's not for me to say. I can't judge. I can only conclude that it's an emotional reason, since they, like I, have received knowledge from on high that the gospel has been restored. Any whispers of doubt from men that come their way would be inferior to the truth we receive from heaven. So by leaving the church, they go against the testimony that they received. When God bears witness that something is true, it doesn't change, it's still true. So let's show some empathy towards those who left the church. If they received a testimony from the Holy Ghost that the church is true, then it must have been something big that bothered them, that caused them to ignore their testimony. So we shouldn't judge them or point our fingers at them like the Pharisees did. If I were to speculate as to why they seem obsessively antagonistic to such a wonderful organization filled with happy people, I'd assume it's due to the discomfort they feel from the cognitive dissonance they have. If they receive a testimony from God, but they live a life opposed to that witness, then the intellectual conflict is cognitive dissonance. If they can adequately convince themselves that the testimony they receive from God was somehow fake or imagined, then they can be at peace. So it makes sense to me why they attack my religion incessantly. It's hard to get an honest answer when I ask them why they left, because they'll tell me the same copy-paste reasons why they left. And they happen to be the subjects that I've researched extensively. I see their perspective, but I'm also aware of some information that debunks the reason they have for leaving. So I'll respond and say, I'm so sorry to hear that. The good news is I have evidence that disproves those items you mentioned, so I can share them with you, and it'll clear things up and maybe restore your faith. But they always respond, as you can imagine, a little close-mindedly. They say they'd rather not hear about the evidence that I have to share and would prefer to continue believing what they currently believe. They sometimes will even say out loud, I don't want the church to be true. To me, that's evidence they left for a reason other than what they told me. Imagine, for example, if I wanted to increase my fiber in my diet, and I say, okay, I'm going to start eating white rice instead of brown rice because white rice has more fiber. But someone comes along and says, hey, did you know that actually brown rice has more fiber? I could say, oh, that's interesting. Let me look into it. And I can research it and see that brown rice really does have more fiber, and I can start eating brown rice instead. Or I can bury my head in the sand and say, no, sorry, I don't want to hear anything about your brown rice. I want to keep eating my white rice. So that would be evidence that there's another reason why I'm eating my white rice. There's something else that I don't want to let go of. So this is just to show empathy towards what they may be going through, that we can kind of understand their perspective a little bit better.